Coming to you from 8122 Production Studios in the heart of the 607, this is Horror Zone 607. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And remember, you can always join the conversation using hashtag HZ607. Welcome to Horror Zone 607, the podcast where we talk all things horror and bring you the week's biggest horror movie news. I am your host, Mike C., back in the studio after a 1-week layoff. Had some personal things going on last week. Guys did a great show without me, and I am glad to be back. Let me introduce a couple friends. Let me introduce the guys right now. We got two of them in the studio with me this week. First off, before getting into podcasting, he was a well-known Las Vegas showgirl named Treasure. Everybody put your hands together and welcome Rich.
I know. That's only because Cinnamon was taken. I like the way that next on the stage for 2 songs, Cinnamon.
Well, the only reason why Cinnamon was taken was because it was a family name.
I did it. You know, I've always thought that might have been my calling in life. I should have just introduced strippers at a strip club. Next on the stage for 2 songs. That's right, the lovely Jasmine.
Wow.
See, I could have done it.
I could have lived
that dream.
Yeah,
Jasmine's ready for those people. Those private dances, people. Please get down off those and give her 20.
Yeah, there you go. She is available for private dances and the boom boom.
It's never too late, Rich. It's never too late. Your dream may come true.
If you slip her a little extra money, you never know.
It is never too late.
Yeah.
And you also hear a second voice. I promised there was 2 awesome dudes in the studio with me this week. Back at it for the second week in a row. We missed him for a while, but he's back with us again. He's my buddy. He's my pal. He's the former owner of 8122 Production Studios. He's our good friend Ron.
Yeah, I had to sell it. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, but
money got a little tight.
He will own it again someday.
Well, I mean, technically, he owns part of this room anyway.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
That's true. And a piece of our hearts. Really,
I mean, so. The room in the building is officially owned by Dragon Master Games because that's where we are. But, you know, the podcast, Ron's been here since the beginning.
Maybe we should change the name.
8122 Production
I think
Studios.
maybe we should change the name of the room, the studio that we're in, to, you know, like the Ron Memorial Library or something.
That's only if I have a heart attack next week.
the Ron Bleep.
Because
8122 Production Studio.
Because I'm just telling you, if I have a heart attack next week and I see the light, I'm going. I'm not. Not even fighting. So,
no,
you can put the memorabilia.
You got podcasts to do, but you can't go anywhere.
I'll get you a plaque for that. Man.
I mean, I actually might have said that to my dad one day. My dad just looked at me and said, "You're an idiot."
All right, well, we'll jump into a little bit of news. It was kind of a light week, so we don't have a ton of stuff. Rich actually has most of the stuff that we're going to talk about this week, but one of the things that kind of jumped out at me, there was an article that came out. Happy Death Day director Christopher Landon is going to be directing a new horror movie for Blumhouse. So, kind of good news there. I dig. Obviously, we've talked about this in
depth.
But
it will not be the trifecta for Happy
It will
Death
not
Day.
be that. We know for a fact it will not be Happy Death Day.
That is not
3.
happening, which is unfortunate because he wanted to make a trilogy.
And you know what? Maybe if this is successful, maybe he picks up something else that's successful. Maybe they go back to it. You know, sometimes that's what they do with these movies. They just need to take a little breather. One of the rumors that I did read out there was courtesy of arrowinthehead.com. Pure rumor. Makes for a fun conversation. We don't know if it's true or not, but there is a rumor that, you know, we've talked about it in the past. Blumhouse wants to get a hold of the Scream series. Jason Blum wants to do Scream. There is a rumor that this may actually be the Scream reboot.
Jason Blum wants to get his hands on everything.
Yeah.
And I, for one, say let him get his hands on everything because he does such a good job. With the Scream thing, it would be cool. I'm going to start just by saying that. My opinion would be cool. However, I think it's too late. And by that, I mean, I don't think this is going to happen because I think after the reboot of the TV series just bit the big one and left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, I think any chance of a movie is going to bite it too. Now, mind you, I could be wrong, and Jason Blum could reach into his bag of magic and make everybody want to see a Scream movie again. But I just feel like, unfortunately, that show, I think, tanked everybody on it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's a little too soon, I think. You know, maybe give it more time. You know, it's only been 20 little over 20 years since Scream came out, since the sequels came out. You know, it's one of those things.
The sequel only came out, what, 5 years ago?
2011.
2011, so I'm a little more. I thought it was later than that.
But it didn't do great. It really didn't fit. In my opinion, it wasn't a good sequel compared to the other ones.
Actually, I dug it. I'm going to be honest. I dug Scream 4. I'm not saying that I thought it was the greatest horror movie of all time, but I enjoyed it. It could be because I especially at the time, I was very attracted to Miss Hayden Panettiere. That was nice to see her. But
Kirby was her name.
Yes, Kirby. But I thought that the story was decent, and the reason why is because it was different, and you couldn't see that shit coming till the end.
Yeah, and I did. We've talked about it on air before. I liked the killer. I loved the way that it was acted. You know, that was cool. I just didn't think that the story fit with the rest of the series. It was kind of, a little kind of rolled my eyes at it. It wasn't a horrible movie.
Here's the thing.
It wasn't Halloween 2018 to me.
Well, I like that better than you did, but not saying it was leaps and bounds better either. But I will say this. I thought that Scream 4 suffered because it tried to be the other movies.
Yeah.
They didn't really do anything overly original, with the exception of the killer at the end and how they unveiled that. Yeah. That was the only thing they did that was original, and that's why I go back to going like it's a good movie or a decent enough movie because I like the ending.
Right.
But going into it, the reason why it's watchable and not horrible is because we've seen that movie 10 times. I mean, I like how it opened too, because I like the tongue-in-cheek of how it made fun of all the sequels of movies.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was an amazing, fun little bit to open with as well. But the closing was really what makes the movie, and everything else really just felt the same as every other Scream movie put out there.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right.
But either way, him directing a movie is probably the biggest takeaway. It's nice. Whether it's a Scream movie or original idea or anything like that, I think it's always nice to see somebody who's talented get an opportunity to make a movie, and hopefully it does well, and maybe we'll get the trilogy for Happy Death Day.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Speaking of original ideas, to jump into a different news subject, last week when me and Ron took over for you, we mentioned that James Wan was going to be in between his next projects, which would be the much-awaited Aquaman 2. He is going to take a stop back into Horrorland. Now, mind you, he is producing the next Conjuring movie. He has been heavy onto his production, but he is going to make his director's return to horror. And now it's gotten bigger. This week, James Wan has said in an interview that it'll be an original horror idea, so it will not be part of the Conjuring universe. It will not be part of the Saw universe or the Insidious universe or anything he's already done. It's an original idea. So this is exciting. And he says that instead of doing CGI, he's going to go back to old school practical effects for this movie. So I'm thinking slasher film from James Wan.
Yeah, probably.
Dig it.
It's not news. He did not say he was doing a slasher film. I'm just saying when you put practical effects with original idea I've never done.
Yeah.
I go slasher because he has not really done a slasher film. The closest would be Saw, and Saw wasn't a slasher film. Saw was more of a psychological thriller with mixed with torture porn.
Yeah.
So it's Final Destination meets Seven.
It's kind of unfairly classified as a slasher movie because you have Jigsaw. You have the name Jigsaw.
But Jigsaw never kills anybody.
He doesn't kill anybody. The puppet is who they call. A lot of people that are not avid horror fans think that the puppet is,
Jigsaw.
But he's not Jigsaw.
And he's not Jigsaw.
He's Billy.
He's Billy. You're
Billy.
right.
That's his name. And then the pig.
Big.
But here's the thing.
It has slasher elements to it, but it's not a slasher
say this.
film.
It's definitely a horror movie.
Oh,
It has slasher elements to it, absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's not. Like I said, I think it's a mix between Seven and I won't even go as far as Ron. It's like Seven meets Hostel meets Final Destination.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's a torture porn element to it, but not too over-the-top torture porn. I mean, a couple of the kills are pretty bad in the later ones. Then there's also, if you think about it, for Final Destination, one of the reasons to go see those movies is the kills.
Yeah.
Just like Final Destination. The Final Destination is not great horror movies, but the kills are awesome.
Right.
Saw is more of a better horror movie, and it still has awesome kills. They do border on torture porn at times. And there is some of the kills that go way into it. And then, of course, I say Seven because Seven is that psychological thriller, and it is much like Seven where he's punishing people who he thinks for some reason have come short. Yeah. And trying to make them a better human being, if you will.
Right.
So, I mean, out of 8 movies so far, that's the trajectory, and we're almost 9. 9's on the way. We'll actually be talking about that in a little bit. It's a little teaser for the second segment. Something that interests me and Ron moving along with the news, though, is me and Ron, and one day we're going to do this goal
Yeah.
And then we're going to come and talk about it right here on this podcast. Maybe we'll film it, all sorts of crazy shit, whatever we can do. But me and Ron both want to go down to Orlando, Florida, to Universal Studios in sometime in September or October, because it goes for both months, and do Halloween Horror Nights. Yeah. And this year, Halloween Horror Nights is starting to announce what they're going to have. I don't know. I don't think we've mentioned it on this podcast before. If we did, I apologize, but it did come out a couple weeks ago.
Still worth it.
Yeah, it came out a couple weeks ago that last year they brought Killer Clowns from Outer Space as a street show, as like a different street segment, because they do the little live open segments, if you will. This year, Killer Clowns from Outer Space will get their own house,
which is awesome.
So it'll be. I haven't seen any concept yet. I can't wait to see it because I watched a bunch of people on YouTube. We plugged it a couple weeks ago. I can't wait to see what they're doing there. Now, the two that they've added are even better. We are getting a house for Jordan Peele's epic Us.
Ooh.
So Us will have its own house. I'm hoping it takes you through that mirror maze into the underground dwelling. That's what I'm hoping.
You got to think that that's what they would do with it.
That damn owl.
Oh, yeah. Damn owl. You better believe that's going to be there.
It's gonna.
It was the only jump in the whole movie twice.
And it got
Absolutely. Got you both times. Yeah, I can see that happening.
So there's that. Then also on time, by the way, for Shudder's release of this show, Creepshow is getting a house for Halloween Horror Nights, and it will be based on the movies. So it'll be based on the segments from the movies and mixed in with the show. So they're going to do both. And Halloween Horror Nights is not new to Greg Nicotero, because that's where the Walking Dead house originated, and it has become an attraction.
Okay, going back to Us, do you think technology has caught up to do the pull like the Haunted Mansion in Disney, where you're like you go when you go through the mirror and the ghost is sitting next to you in the ride, but you actually go through, and at the end it's a reflection of you from the beginning, or it's not like in the jumpsuit, but like it got a picture of you.
That would be neat.
That would be cool.
Or somehow a camera gets you at that moment.
Do I think technology has? Yes. Is it practical? I don't know. Depends on how many people. You'd have to slow that house down.
But that's why I say you do it through the house. You do it from the front, because it'll give time for it to go through the computer, and then as you go through at the end, you get something where you're staring at, and it not being a mirror, but being like that kind of hologram type feel or something,
right?
Where all of a sudden you're like staring at yourself.
That would be awesome if they did that. I don't know, like you said, I don't know how practical it'd be, but that'd be cool if they figured out a way to do it.
I don't know. I think
that would be super cool.
I don't like with all these hologram effects and stuff going on and stuff. I don't know,
right?
But like it would be like something like you walking in. Oh, I'm sorry, I just hit the mic. As you walk in, like that's the camera's there, but you don't see it,
right? And
it gets you, and then when you go through the whole thing, you might see glimpses of yourself.
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be really cool.
That'd be awesome. I agree. I'm super excited. I will be watching. There's a bunch of different YouTubers I watch that do a lot of stuff at the parks down there. Tim Tracker's one of them. I'll give him a plug here. He does. If you go back, you can see what he's done for Halloween Horror Nights in years past, and I'm sure he'll be covering this year's Halloween Horror Nights as well. And usually, because he has he's got enough following that he has a deal down there, they usually let him show some stuff, and he's even got some behind the scene footage because he gets to go to media days. So you can check out what he's done in years past there, specifically last year, which was really cool. He had a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and then this year I'm sure that will be the same. So nice. Right. Just a little shout out there. Last but certainly not least, we are going to talk about an awesome set that's coming out October 1st. We are going to get the Hitchcock collection to DVD and Blu-ray. More specifically, if the Blu-ray I think is the best the route for this one. They are going to. It just looks cool. First of all, it comes in a box that looks like the Psycho, like the Bates Motel.
Awesome.
So not the motel, sorry, just the house. There's a bunch of memorabilia in there with it. It looks like there's some stuff from Vertigo, and there's some sheets. It doesn't have really a listing of all of it, because I don't know if it's got the same stuff in all of them or if there's a little different stuff. It looks pretty cool. But it comes with 15 movies released on Blu-ray for the first time, plus 7 episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents and 3 episodes of the Alfred Hitchcock Hour. And inside the packaging is inspired by the iconic house from Psycho. Here's the 15 movies that will be on this collection: Saboteur, Shadow of a Doubt, Rope, Rear Window, The Trouble with Harry, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Vertigo, North by Northwest, The Birds, Marnie, Torn Curtain, Topaz, Friendly, Family Plot, and of course, Psycho.
Yeah.
So that will be out on October 1st. I do not have a price point on here. They did not give the price point for this.
Probably around $100.
I would assume so.
I'll find out right now for us. I'm looking at the pre-order right now and just waiting for it to load.
$89.99 pre-order.
$99.98.
Ooh, so there you go. So $100 even on the pre-order.
It's 2 cents below $100, so it's a steal.
Hey, listen, that's a lot of stuff, and that's the first time that any of that's been on Blu-ray. So
just a cool looking set to begin with.
Oh yeah, do you see that? There's a lot of cool stuff that comes with it. Like I said, it looks like it comes with a bunch of swag. I don't know if it comes with the same stuff because the listing said bonus stuff. Yeah. So I think some of them might come with different things, but one of them looked like there's different posters, so maybe you get different posters because one of them definitely was the poster for Vertigo. Yeah. I didn't notice that. And then there was other stuff that was like from different movies. So I'm assuming that maybe depending upon the box, it's like a grab bag of what you get. Yeah. But that's pretty cool in its own, just the movies, and then you get 10 episodes of the show between 7 of Alfred Hitchcock Presents and then 3 of the Alfred Hitchcock Hour. I mean, that's
probably the best ones out of them.
I would assume so.
And,
this is a cool looking thing. I'm kind of looking it over
gazing
right now.
it
As we're
over
talking.
real quick. Thinking about possibly buying that since you're not going to spend all that extra money to go down to Blairstown this year.
Oh well, I'm not going to be going to that. No. I was invited back twice. 2 different email addresses. I was selected to actually go back to the camp. It's where they filmed Friday the 13th. But as much as I love those folks, as much as I dig what they're doing, all the money goes into the camp. $395 for this tour. My last one was a lot. It was $170. The one before that was like I think $150. $395.
$170 is reasonable. If you would have messaged me then and you were like, "Oh, I get to bring guests," I'm like, maybe I can swing $170 and go with you.
I probably would have done that again.
$300 and some dollars. I'm like,
yeah. The difference with this one, the previous ones, they would do 2 in a day. There was one from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. and another one from I think 3 to 10. This one is actually from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. You get lunch, you get dinner. They're doing more with it. There's a few more celebrities that are there, including Harry Manfredini, who scored, who made the he was the one that did the
yeah.
So it's pretty good guest list, but it's just not worth $400.
At least it goes to a good cause. But everything that they're doing in Blairstown that weekend is super expensive. We might still go down just to hang out amongst town to see that. And you tell me there's a good brewery down there.
Oh yeah, Buck Hill Brewery.
So we might still do that. Although September 13th also, I don't know if we wanted to go out to Ohio, but they're doing the Slash Street Boys. The Merkins are performing as the Slash Street Boys at the Slaughterhouse Haunt. And you get not only do you get to go to the concert, but then you get to go through Slaughterhouse, and that doesn't open until the end of September. So you get to actually go through the actual haunt, the first ones through this season. So there's tickets for that online. So if you guys want to be interested in that, it's themerkins.com. So
all right.
And if you haven't seen the Merkins stuff on YouTube and the Slash Street Boys, you need to check that out.
That's good.
Yeah, you do.
Little plugging there because I love the Merkins.
Whenever it falls under my feet or when I'm looking through videos, and I always listen.
You gotta love the Merkins. I should see if I can put the Merkins on the show, but I don't know. I may get copyright flagged for those songs they parody. Because it's kind of weird. Anyways, continuing into that idea, and also it's Cleveland. It's outside of Cleveland. It's outside of Parma, actually. And so it's like 5.5 hours. The only reason I know is because I looked it up. I was like, I only have to drive.
Both great ideas.
Both great ideas.
So you have to take a 5.5 hour nap.
If we go that route, or you can come down to if we go to Blairstown, you can take a 2-hour nap.
Yeah, about an hour and 45 minutes. That's a
Mike
short
says
drive.
that there's good food and a good brewery down there. So I mean, we wouldn't be going into the museum and everything because they want to charge.
Great breakfast at the diner that they filmed the scene with Steve Christie and the having dinner. So I had breakfast in there the first time I went.
Sweet,
all good.
Well, with that's the end of this first opening segment here. And if you would like to add to anything that we talked about and join the conversation, we would love to hear from you guys. So you can find us on Facebook, Horror Zone 607. Like our page, share our page, rate and review the page to help us out. Also, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Horror Zone 607. And remember, for all the social medias to join our conversation, use the hashtag HZ607.
All right, thanks, Rich. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to start the beginning of a little bit of talking horror here, which we'd love to do on this show. So
we had 2 last week. We didn't do talking horror.
This week we're going to make up for it.
2 talking horror segments. I'm going to host the first one, and then Mike's going to host the very special last one. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to the zone, and here is, like as we promised, our first of 2 talking horror segments this week. This is my talking horror segment, of course, Rich. But before I dive into the actual topic, I am going to pitch an idea to my esteemed colleagues, and also hopefully put it out there to see if you guys like this, as far as listeners as well. So I've been thinking, and first of all, we definitely need to do some movie watches here at Dragon Master Games with inviting the general public as well. That's one of the things that we've been aiming to do, and we will be doing that not too far in the near future as well. But I've been thinking we should start doing some Horror Zone specials.
Ooh.
Horror Zone specials, special podcasts, and here's how I'm thinking. I'm thinking we should, and I'm not going to say how many a month. Some months maybe do more. So, some months maybe do 1 or 2. Some months do every week do one, or we all record them. But I'm thinking like let's watch a movie. Then we'll do like older movie, nothing new. Like the new ones, we'll still do the reviews right here on Horror Zone 607 podcast. But we'll do specials where we'll do like, I don't know. Well, I'm just gonna say it because it's on the top of my head. We'll do like we'll all get together, watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then we'll come talk about the movie. We'll go through the whole movie. Not like I'm not saying like scene for scene and pick apart the movie scene by scene, but we can go through the whole movie, kind of like have fun. Hey, I saw this, I saw that. Maybe drop we can all get together and decide how we want to do it. Drop a list of things maybe we want to keep track of and count. Obviously, we'll give little fun facts. We'll do our research on it as well. But also, we'll watch it before we do the stuff, so that way it's fresh in our mind and we can give like our honest opinion rewatching. Because like honestly, some of these movies we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Some of these movies we may have never seen. Now, here's where the fan element comes in. We're going to do ones that we plan. Okay? Like, it'll be planned out in advance, and we'll just do it. But I think sometimes we should open up, to voting, so people can vote on Twitter and Facebook. We'll put up a poll between, like, 2 movies or whatever, and we'll let them pick what movie we're going to watch and do our special on. Then, also, sometimes we can just do ones that are written in.
Sure.
I think it'll be fun. And, in some episodes, some of these special podcasts, maybe we'll do like 2 movies in one. Because my pitch, and I think this was an idea we've had before, but my pitch is this. In the month of October, maybe do 1 or 2 before, kind of get the bugs out, kind of figure out what we want to do. But I feel like in the month of October, and maybe we don't have to record 4 different weeks. We could do it, however, we'll figure it out. It might be a pain in the ass because we have a lot going on. We got Sci-Fi Horror Fest, we got Scaricon, we got all that stuff going on. But somehow, some way, I say in October, we do all the Halloween movies.
Oh, I'm down for that. I watch them every year anyway.
So we do Halloween 1 through 6 of the original series, plus then add H2O and Resurrection, plus then add the Rob Zombie movies, plus make Mike watch Halloween 2018 again, just so we can hear him.
You had me until 2018.
I'm just saying. I think we should do that in the month of the 1st October. The 2nd October we'll do something different. But I mean, we can do that. We can run through series sometimes.
Sure.
But I feel like if we do them in special form, mind you, we're not going to do a watch along. It's not like we're going to be watching the movie while we talk. We're going to watch the movie and then we're going to kind of digest it out there. So the podcast would be about 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it takes us to kind of discern. Some of the movies I'm sure will be the shorter side.
Right.
Some of them will be a longer side. Because obviously we're going to have a lot more to say about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre than we are going to be about Critters, if you will.
Sure.
I'm not saying we're going to exclusively watch those movies. I'm just giving a good little example.
Yeah.
Talking about Critters is amazing.
I love Critters, but I feel like that
it's the same movie.
I feel like if you think about it, there's more. Hooper was saying more with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre than what the creators of Critters were. They were just like, we're just trying to get the money off of Ghoulies and Puppet Master success. Like, come on, let's be honest. That's where we were.
Gremlins.
So that's an idea that we're going to put out in the universe because I think that'd be a lot of fun. And sometimes we'll mix that with the live. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll watch a movie here live with people. And my idea, I don't know if we can do it in August. Maybe we can find a weekend in August. If not, September. We'll let you guys know when we nail it down. We do the movie we finally wanted to do. We show here at Dragon Master Games for the first one. We'll show in its entirety one of my favorite horror movies of all time, April Fool's Day. Ron has still never saw it.
I thought for sure that was going to be The Notebook.
No. April Fool's Day. I've never seen The Notebook, by the way.
Me neither.
Woohoo! You guys don't know what you're missing. That is a horror masterpiece.
You know
I know what I'm
on
missing.
it, and I'm good. But I think we'll do that here at Dragon Master Games. We'll tell everybody, people can come and watch with us, and then we'll do a podcast after to review it, and that'll be Ron's first time, so that'll be awesome. It's for him to see everything. So we're going to do that one here live. Then we'll figure it out. We'll do something else because we'll do a couple dry runs before October. But I feel like that's the way to go. I mean, for the Halloween ones, maybe we might be able to get all together and watch them. But if time not time consuming. We can at least watch them separately, but
Right.
have a time like watch it, and then we're recording for So we'd have to knock out like 2 or 3 of them at a time.
Right.
So it would be like Halloween, Halloween 2, maybe even Halloween 3 on the same one since it's different.
I say it's got Halloween in the title. It's a Halloween
I know.
movie.
Well, here's the problem. We probably would have to do 2 specials in 1 week because we probably have to do Halloween 1 and 2 together, and then we'd have to do Halloween 3. We'll watch Halloween 3, but we'll do Halloween 3 as its own podcast.
Okay.
Because it stands alone anyways. And then we'll do 4 and 5. 4, 5, and 6 we'll do together.
Right.
Because
The Jamie Lloyd
they all
trilogy.
go together. Then we'll do H2O and Resurrection together because they go together.
Right.
And then we'll do the Rob Zombie movies together, which is I'm really dreading watching those again. But we'll do those together. And then we'll do 2018 by itself as the main event. Or we can skip 2018 because we've already talked about it ad nauseum. Either way. We might not have to do a special on that. We'll let the listeners decide that.
I don't know if you're noticing the blank stare I'm giving you right here in the studio.
No, I'm just saying
right
what we'll do is we'll do what I just said as a setup, and if the listeners want Halloween 2018, then we have to do it. If the listeners are like, we've heard enough about Halloween 2018, then we won't. So I feel like that's what our mission in October is. But before October and September, by the end of this month or September, I'd like to get one up, and then one of them is definitely going to be here at Dragon Master Games.
Sure.
So
there you
go.
I like it.
that
This is why
idea.
we pay you the big bucks.
I know. Actually, this is why if I got paid the big bucks, I wouldn't have to work. So now let's get into my actual talking horror segment. Now that I'm done kind of giving an announcement, and I want to spring it on these guys live, see reaction. That was good. So there was an editorial piece done on bloodydisgusting.com where we like to take a lot of our stuff from, and it was written by Tom Beasley. I just want to give him a shout out here, and actually you should read the editorial because I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just want to talk about some of what was in here. It says Halloween Ends. By the way, the movie Halloween Ends, that would be in 2021 that comes out, and horror's love affair with final chapters. So basically the gist of the thing, without going through the whole segment, is that horror movies in Hollywood, everybody knows how to ramp them up. Everybody knows how to make them a franchise. Everybody knows how to get them successful. Because we've had a bunch of successful horror franchises, as we know. I mean, we've had some that fail too, but we've had a lot of successful ones. So that part Hollywood has mastered. The problem in horror movies in Hollywood is they have never mastered ending them.
Yeah.
Never. A successful franchise in horror has never ended. Now, you would say, but Rich, that's true of a lot of things. No, not really. In a lot of Hollywood movies, there is an ending. Harry Potter had an ending. Now, mind you, they are writing another book, and then we heard they're going to make 2 more movies off that book, but that's based on a book. And they've gone off on the Wizarding World, other places as well, just to make money. But once again, Harry Potter has a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings saga has a beginning and an end. Whether it was the 3 movies that made up Lord of the Rings and the 3 movies that make up The Hobbit, but still, there's a beginning and an end. The Godfather, beginning and an end. Star Wars will be coming to an end. Well, the Skywalker saga will be coming to the end this December. So no matter what, we've yeah, I love the think out over there. Ryan. They can't see that, but I can think so. But one thing that Hollywood hasn't learned how to do is how to end horror movies, though. Because we've tried time and time again. And some examples that are in the article that I'm going to bring up. And, of course, you're all probably screaming at, ooh, besides Halloween, I just whacked my microphone. Sorry about
I did that earlier, too.
I was wiping my sweat. Sorry, guys. So besides Halloween, which is what spurred this on, because Halloween Ends is allegedly going to be the end of the Michael Myers saga. Allegedly. We'll find out how well that works. We've already gave our opinion on that. However, we've tried this before. Most notably, we'll start with Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, of course, had a final chapter. Now we call that Friday the 13th Part 4. Why? Because there was 5 more movies that came out after that part of the original, plus then Jason Next, plus then a reboot, plus Freddy vs. Jason, and we're not even going to count the fan films, but we're just going to count those. So after that movie, there was 5, 6, 7, 8 movies that came out.
Yeah.
So final chapter did not work so well. Jason died. The next movie, we get a fake Jason. And the following movie, we get zombie Jason.
Yeah,
And the movie was called Jason Lives.
Exactly. Exactly. Because they wanted to make sure after people bitched about Jason not being in Part 5, which I still stand by, Part 5 is actually a hidden gem of a movie.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of like Halloween 3. It's a hidden gem of a movie.
Sleazy and mean-spirited,
as fuck.
but yeah, I agree with you there.
But a hidden gem of a movie. But anyways, so obviously they haven't figured out how to make Friday the 13th. And if they ever get out of court, we'll get another Friday the 13th movie.
We will.
So also, we can add that the other big horror icon, Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street had part 6, which is Freddy's Dead. And you guys know, because we like to joke about Freddy's Dead all the time. But after Freddy's Dead, we got New Nightmare.
Yep.
We got Freddy vs. Jason.
Yep.
And we got the remake. Now, to be fair, there's been less, because New Nightmare is barely a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is it's based on characters, but they changed Freddy completely.
Right.
And the hopes, I think, there was to do another new franchise under the New Nightmare gimmick, which was good. It was a really good movie. I enjoyed that movie quite a bit. It was way better than
yeah.
6.
Yeah, great if you want to call it a sequel, but that's definitely...
It still had Freddy, in a way. I mean,
Yeah,
it was
it was a
different.
great film.
It wasn't Freddy the sleep demon. It was Freddy the overall demon.
Right.
The fairy tale demon.
Yeah,
but
that was a great film.
But it was still a great film. And then Freddy vs. Jason was Freddy vs. Jason.
Because of that, we got Scream.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, there's another franchise, Scream. Even though it's been gone for a while, they've dug it up for TV shows. First of all, we had the trilogy, which what was wrong with that? You end on 3, right?
Yep.
Many years later, we get 4, which we talked about earlier. Then we've had TV series, and now we're talking about a possible reboot movie, which the TV series might have killed. But still, it happened.
Yep.
Child's Play never comes to an ending. We just got a remake. We're getting a TV show.
Chucky literally dies in like every one of these films.
he got melted in the second one.
He got melted. He got put through a fan, and his body was chopped up.
He got melted in the second one.
He got melted in the first one.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
But, hey, Call of Chucky's still a classic. I don't care.
What
Dude,
else?
it's so funny.
What else?
Dude, there's multiple Chucky's.
Coming off of Curse, I loved Curse. It was such a good horror movie, and that is not what I expected.
It's just funny because it's the whole.
They went back to comedy for it. That's one of the problems that I had with that. I think
multiplicity. All just it
was multiplicity.
It gets worse. And the last one, they get Sky.
That movie was something else.
Come on, that's funny.
So if you think about this, one that hasn't come back in a while, but has been in the reboot talks again, Final Destination.
Yep.
They did The Final Destination, and that was supposed to be it. But now we're hearing rumblings of a reboot or a remake or a continuation. However, there's just rumblings out there that this is going to happen. So we'll see. If it doesn't happen, then Final Destination stays laid to rest. They did count this in the article, but Resident Evil had a final chapter, and then it came back.
Yeah.
And, so it goes on to show that. So how long will it be before the last Sharknado is no longer the last Sharknado? How long will it be?
Well, we do have Zombie Tidal Wave that's from the same makers and has Ian Ziering in it. So
will that stay dead? Will the fact that the last Human Centipede movie was called The Final Segment?
Ooh.
Will we get another one of those? Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Or will it be like Saw? Saw was supposed to end with another one that was called The Final Chapter, by the way. It was Saw 3D, but it was also known as Saw, The Final Chapter.
Yep.
And then a few years later, we got Jigsaw, which was the 8th movie in that franchise. And we know right now they are shooting the 9th movie in the franchise, as Chris Rock is producing and starring in, and Samuel L. Jackson's also a part of. And I can't wait to see it. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm excited for it. Jigsaw was actually pretty good. I enjoyed that.
Jigsaw.
It wasn't the best movie, but it was enjoyable.
It was the worst in the series, but it was a fun movie.
It was still a fun movie, yes. As fun as a movie with deaths can be.
Yeah.
There were some fun deaths in that movie, let's be honest. The opening sequence with deaths.
Oh, yeah.
That tugging. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And then also the cylinder.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That's the one thing I'll give that series, too, is they keep coming up with inventive ways to kill people, so... Yeah.
So, and here's comes the opinion part. I know we've spent all this time with me giving a good backstory because it's fair to say. Do you guys think... Actually, it's going to be a two-part. Let's do the first part. Do you think that Halloween Ends will be the end of the Michael Myers saga? I'm not going to go as far as say the Halloween saga. Maybe they'll try to reboot Halloween, kind of Season of the Witch style-esque, and call it Halloween, or kind of do what The Conjuring does with Annabelle and stuff, where it's a Halloween story, but it's that.
No, I think that one of a couple of things happens with it. They either remake it again, or maybe they dip back into the zombie version of the series and do a sequel to that, which was originally supposed to happen. Or they just maybe go back to the original somewhere. I don't even know where the story is. It's a choose-your-own-adventure book at this point. But maybe dip back into the original series again, where all of the sequels exist, and they do something off of that. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're ever going to, quote-unquote, make the mistake of going down the anthology I don't think I'd have a problem with it if it was done right. If John Carpenter was involved, or the original gang was involved with it, I think I'd be okay. But that won't happen.
John Carpenter said he wants to do 2 more movies.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I was just throwing it out there. I was just going to the anthology series to give kind of like a cop out, if you will. I agree with you. And you know who else agrees with you? Somebody you do not like.
Ooh.
The person who agrees with you is Danny McBride.
Oh, that guy.
Co-writer of the 2018 Halloween and upcoming sequels. He told Slash Film when Slash Film asked him that if there will be Michael Myers and Halloween after their outings, and he declared, this is exactly what he said. He said, they asked him if that'll be the ending. Sorry, is this going to be the real end? And he declared this: no way. Their films will mark the end, and said that 10 years from now there will be another group of knuckleheads who will put together their take on the series.
Right, and there will be. Maybe it's its own story. Maybe there's no Laurie Strode in this one. Maybe it just kind of does almost like Halloween Resurrection tried to do, where they killed her off in the beginning, even though it was it was in canon with the original series. They kind of got rid of her, dispatched her quickly, and then tried to go a different direction, which obviously failed miserably. But I think that the attempt there was that they were going to start something new and try to carry it on, and they quickly learned that they couldn't do it without the Laurie character. It didn't work. But something will happen. There will be another sequel to what I don't know, but something will happen.
Ron, where are you at on this?
Okay, people, real quick. Once Rich said Danny McBride, I kid you not, Mike was about out the door. He was like halfway out the door. All right, he's like, no, gone, people. That's why I was laughing so hard. I'm sorry, but it's a franchise. It's people own it. As long as somebody owns the rights, somebody's going to make something, even if it's 15, 20 years or 30 years after I had my heart attack. So 30 years after next week, we said. So, it'll
never die.
Hollywood's having a hard time coming up with original ideas now.
How many times have they reinvented Dracula?
Yeah.
How many times have they reinvented Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It'll happen. And those are from what, the 30s?
Even if the next time it's not called Halloween, it's called Mike Myers, or something like that.
I agree. I don't think that it's ever going to end, and it's funny. I don't think that. Here's my take on it. I don't think anything really definitively ends in Hollywood. Period. I did bring up stuff like The Godfather. I did bring up those were sagas that came to an end, but those style of movies didn't.
Yeah.
I.e., The Godfather spurned on movies like Casino and Goodfellas and The Bronx Tale and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Even Scarface was spawned on by The Godfather. So, it started its own genre of movies. And then occasionally the gangster movie comes back. And maybe in different forms. Like The Departed is a gangster movie.
Yeah.
Training Day, gangster movie. Oceans, technically the Oceans movies technically are those kind of movies. Same thing in fantasy realm. When Lord of the Rings hit it big, everybody was trying to make the next book, fantasy book, into reality. Yeah, that's how we got the Divergent series. That's how we got
Harry Potter.
Potter even. Yeah. There's a lot of movies that were spurned by that. So no matter what, throughout time, it's always going to be that revolution. Horror doesn't have. Here's the problem. Horror does not have as many things. You can either go back to the well a million times to go with the Wolfman and Frankenstein and Dracula, but then we created our own new horror icons. In the late 70s and the 80s, we created horror icons who obviously stand the test of time. Michael Myers, Leatherface, Jason, Freddy Krueger. You can even go into then when there was a renaissance in the late 90s, early 2000s. Then we get our newer modern horror icons, i.e. Ghostface, Jigsaw. So no matter what, horror occasionally does spurn a new set of killers. Right. Even now, we just talked about Happy Death Day to You, and I know it's not going to become this huge franchise because they're kind of nipping it in the bud, but even the baby mask killer, if you will, is now an icon. It's something that you can see.
You'll see it in stores in Halloween season. It's going to be everywhere.
I mean, it comes down to what Gene Roddenberry said in an interview, the creator of Star Trek, people, is the thing that he couldn't wait to see what other people could do with what he has created. That's why there's always that's why he this is what he wanted to see with all this Star Trek that's coming out. He wanted to see people make other things go on, and anybody that has that attitude, kind of like George Lucas of I don't want to see my thing go to shame. you created something. Let it keep going.
Right.
Who cares? Like, if it's supplying some kind of entertainment, like, you might not like Halloween 2018. But to somebody's kid, that's their first Halloween movie.
Right. And the vast majority of people did love it.
And I'm just saying, like, that's somebody taking their 14-year-old son to their first rated R movie. I mean, I know it's a little weird now to say that.
Right.
But, like, that first horror movie, and that's going to be his Halloween. And,
right.
And then when Halloween...
And you know what?
It's just bring stuff and
to kind of feed off of that real quickly. I don't mean to interrupt you here. Yeah. There's a guy I work with. He's around 30. He had never seen any of the movies. He went to see that, the 2018, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Went back, and somebody told him, go back and watch the original now. He thought it was one of the worst movies he's ever seen. Now, that was blasphemous to me.
No, I agree. But I agree, but that's also...
He's never...
It's an argument that I get with Josh about, like, and I bring up Star Wars, is, you know, he's taking, like, my goddaughters, he started with episode 1, Phantom Menace. And I'm like, you're killing the Star Wars saga.
Yeah.
But he's like, in his one argument was, I can't show them a movie from the 70s and have them expect to enjoy it as much as we did. Because we were 80, because it was 78. Yeah. And I'm like, I'll give you that a little bit, but you're still ruining, like, the whole story saga, because it should be, you know, but like that's the whole thing. Like, it's somebody's first horror movie, somebody's first enjoyment,
right?
That this might spawn him into other horror movies,
right?
Regardless of, like, Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, when you said watch everything, like, my friends and I, when that's what we used to do. We were like, oh, the Freddy's Dead's coming out. Wait, we got to watch the first 5 Nightmares.
Right.
We watched the first 5 Nightmares in 5 nights.
Yeah.
We went down to the local video store, got it, took it back, and I mean 5 nights, and then I didn't sleep for like 3 weeks after that. But that's the whole thing. Like, it's somebody's first enjoyment of something, and that, like I said, Gene Roddenberry says it best. I can't wait to see what somebody does with it.
Right.
And like it or not, that show Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda, that was a Gene Roddenberry idea that was on a napkin that somebody else took and made, and the court said you couldn't use Star Trek Universe. So they just adjusted it. Like it or not, if you put that in Star Trek Universe, it might have been a little better of a show, but people love that show.
Right.
You know.
And one thing that just popped in my head a minute ago, you know, before you move on with this, we were talking about what could they do with Halloween. I just had another thought of what they could possibly do. They already reneged all the sequels. They reneged Part 2, the original Halloween 2, to do what they did with 18. You want to know what they could potentially do? Who's wanted more than anything else to get back into this series? Danielle Harris to play Jamie Lloyd. She's on Twitter constantly criticizing them for not getting her involved in this series. Who's to say that they don't renege Part 6 and go back, and Parts 4 and 5 exist, and now you're back into the Jamie Lloyd saga? Yeah. You know, that could happen.
Somebody could do that.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
A lot of people would. Yeah. Fans of the series.
Well,
if somebody watching could be the fan of 4 and 5 or whatever,
right?
And you'd be like, this is where I want to continue the story.
I mean, technically, they did let her back in Rob Zombie's version.
Right. Yeah. But
she played Annie, but
she played Annie. It was different, you know. Let her be Jamie Lloyd again. I would dig that. I would love to see that happen.
You know,
there was a severe injustice to that character when 6 came out. Terrible injustice to that character.
Well, 6 was a terrible injustice to movies in general.
Exactly.
Another story.
Exactly. So I wouldn't put it past them if they think they can make money. That was a very popular story arc in that series. It could happen.
But it's like you go back to Evil Dead 2. It's the same freaking movie.
Oh yeah,
but
one's just a spoof of the other.
Yeah, it's just how it's like. This was the movie I wanted. He was like, I wanted to make, but at the time I only had this much money.
Right.
So we did it this way, and then I made this because I thought this was the better version of the movie.
But most people consider that being Evil Dead.
Yeah.
You know, because that's where everything went from there.
Yeah.
Including the amazing series on Stars that.
Oh, dude, I love that series.
Talk about an injustice. That should have gone on a lot longer. Great series.
Well, you know, it depends on when they wanted to finish it up as well.
Yeah.
They wanted to go further. Stars canceled it.
Well, I understand that they wanted,
Bruce
but
was getting a little. Bruce gets a little. He gets a little touchy.
About it. He was getting to the point where he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to retire this." So, I mean, he was pretty open about that. So.
Yeah, he was. The only reason why he jumped on that was because it was right after Burn Notice and he didn't have any other work. It was pretty much why he did. And he won't admit to it in any interview.
Right. But he wanted it to carry on for a few more seasons. He said if they cancel it, I'm done. Yeah. He kind of gave them the ultimatum indirectly that way, and they canceled it. So he's done.
I'm surprised Netflix didn't pick that up.
I wish they had. I would have loved to have seen that go further.
Yeah,
they could have, but they didn't. So Now that was the end of my talking horror segment. So pretty much horror just never ends. It just morphs and does different things, and you can hope that it gets better. You can hope that it's the 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and not the 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh.
That's all you can hope. That's all. Whenever they reboot and remake, that's all you can hope.
Right.
I had hope for that Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Is that the remake or the reboot can do justice, or at least do a good job of carrying a story.
And sadly, we've seen a little too much of 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street than we have 2003 Texas Chainsaw.
Absolutely. I mean, and somewhere in there, 2009 Friday the 13th is kind of in the middle. Because there's stuff that they did there that was all right. There's stuff that they did there. I didn't hate it. It's watchable.
I liked it when I first saw it in theaters.
Listen, it's watchable.
To hate it.
I haven't watched it since.
It's watchable. Yeah. 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street is not watchable.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
and of course, the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre is
a masterpiece.
Is a masterpiece, and it doesn't surpass necessarily. Like I look at them as two different things, and they both are great in their respective roles.
Right.
The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre will always be a masterpiece. And 2003 remake is a masterpiece. There's two masterpieces that share the same name, and they're both great. And they're great at what they do. They both did different things too. It wasn't the same movie. And that's what the 2003 movie was, a lot darker, a lot more mean-spirited. But the atmosphere was amazing.
Yeah, it really
That's
was.
the only thing that carried over from the original. The atmosphere was really good, but it was just darker and way more mean-spirited. And the original was more of it was a social commentary about the times as much as anything else, but also a legend. And I hope we actually, that's an idea. I feel like when we're doing these, maybe we will do a compare and contrast for those two great movies, or maybe their own little segment, because they deserve it. They're both amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 needs to be watched. Because it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's a great
Bill Moseley.
Yeah.
That movie is more of a dark horror comedy, but it's amazing.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
It gets a little shaky towards Leatherface and the original Texas Chainsaw 3, and then the next generation.
94.
That's been on almost every night for the last 2 months. I watch it every time it's on, and it's like the sun. You're not supposed to look at it, but
and then believe it or not, the secondary spur off was not too bad. Texas Chainsaw, the beginning was all right.
Oh yeah, it was all right.
But the only problem is you knew how that movie was ending.
Yeah.
Although they did come up with a creative way to kill the final girl.
Oh yeah,
that was cool.
I didn't see that coming. That got
I mean,
me.
I kind of saw it coming because you knew that they couldn't live.
Yeah.
And then when they spurned off again, that was weird, because then they did Texas Chainsaw 3D, and that's actually the direct sequel
to the original movie.
The original, not the remake, the original.
Right.
And then they did the Leatherface, or was it called Leatherface?
Another one called Leatherface.
Yeah, another one called Leatherface, and that was
a prequel
to the original. So they went back, and instead of doing the sequel, the remake only had one true sequel.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And that sequel wasn't bad. Texas Chainsaw: The Beginning was a pretty awesome movie.
It was. I really would have liked to have seen more. It's a little impossible to do now.
The man that makes that awesome, the late great Arlie Ermy, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, most of the cast of The Family are gone now. The only one that's left is Andrew Bernarski. Mm-hmm. Everybody else has passed away.
But before we get too deep, and if you want to hear more of that, that's what I'm talking about with these specials. We'll get in deep like that with these specials. So I got a little teaser there, and we didn't even watch the movie. Can't wait to do that, because Texas Chainsaw's got to be on that.
Absolutely,
got to do that whole series. Anyways, even the bad ones, just because we can have a lot of fun me ripping on Next Generation,
and we will.
So once again, if you want to dive in and let us know what you think about horror movies, franchises never coming to an end, and any kind of thoughts that you guys have, or maybe there's a horror movie franchise that did come to an end that you don't like that came to an end, or whatever, hit us up, man. We love hearing from you guys. Horizon 607 on Facebook, at Horizon 607 on Twitter and Instagram, #HZ607 to join the conversation. We are going to take our final break. And when we come back, Mike's going to host his very own Talking Horror segment on your double Talking Horror segment extravaganza.
10, 3, 4. Watching another horror movie.
Welcome back to the Zone for our final segment of the day. Another episode of Talking Horror, if you will. You've heard us say it the whole show. We were going to do it, and we're going to do it. By God, we're going to do it. So we kind of have... We're going to continue on a segment that we've done in the past. We're going to go back to the 80s one more time here. And we've previously talked about 1980, the films, the great films that came out in 1980, as well as the amazing, amazing films that came out in 1981. So we're up to 1982. We haven't done that yet. We're going to talk about 1982. So I'm going to jump right in here. And I know a lot of these movies the guys haven't seen yet because I named them off kind of when we had a little pre-meeting before we went on the air today. And the guys said they hadn't seen much. But the first one I'm going to jump into would be Amityville 2.
Boo.
Boo.
Now, I dug it. It was a sleazy movie. It was kind of a loose interpretation of the DeFeo murders. They were a different family by name, but they kind of took some liberties with it. But I don't know. I thought it was a pretty creepy movie. So
You're the only one here that did.
And I kind of knew that was going to happen.
I didn't watch it at all.
Most people don't agree with me with that, but I thought it looked very much the part of the first one and kind of had a similar feel to it. And I don't know. There's a lot that I like about that movie. Maybe watch it again sometime. Maybe we'll do the Amityville series. We were talking about doing these series. Maybe we'll do the Amityville series. I'll put you guys through that.
Please don't.
Next on the list is going to be Cat People.
Cat People. I have never seen Cat People, by the way. I just want to point this out. But I do have the synopsis for it. Have you seen this, Mike?
I have seen this, unfortunately.
Well, the synopsis is, in this sensual and violent horror tale, Irina Galler has a dark family secret, one that resurfaces dramatically when she reconnects with her estranged brother, Paul, who's played by Malcolm McDowell, by the way, who was at ScareCon last year. You can see us at ScareCon this year, October 18th through 20th. Look at me plug away there.
You sound like Mick Foley.
Because Horror Zone 607 will be at ScareCon again. We announced that last week. Mike, you weren't here.
I know.
We're going to be at ScareCon.
Oh, I heard it.
Yeah.
I listen.
Living with her sibling in New Orleans, Irina finds herself enamored with zoologist Oliver Yates, who's played by John Hurt. Now, that's got a hell of a cast. Even as her brother makes his own advances towards her, it's not long before the dark and dangerous curse of the Galler family clan rears its feline head. Wah! So basically, it's the real version of Sleepwalkers, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it's a remake. It's a remake of the 1942 version.
Oh, okay.
It's got a good cast.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I mean, as you mentioned, Malcolm McDowell's in it, Natasha Kinski, John Hurd, who was, of course, the dad in Home Alone 1 and 2. Annette O'Toole, who I'm looking at on here, and I hate to say this, she was always really cute back in the 80s. She's not looking so hot these days. Ed Begley Jr., good cast. Good cast.
It looked an amazing cast, by the way.
It's a weird movie. It's a very erotic movie.
Yeah,
a lot of nudity, a lot of erotic behavior.
I actually think I've seen this. It's just been a while.
Yeah, it's an interesting film. So it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just not my cup of tea. But I had that cool early '80s feel to it. The next one, I know you guys you're gonna jump right in here. I know Rich especially is gonna love this, and that would be one of the classics. It's coming back as a series on Shudder. We've got Creepshow.
Absolutely, the original Creepshow. Fun times. This is definitely a movie I would dive into on an episode. It's an anthology movie. Of course, the first one featured the great Stephen King is all over it, including he's an actor in the skit as well. Directors in this movie were himself, George Romero, and I do believe I'm drawing a blank as far as the last director that was a part of it, but sorry.
Was it Crystal Reed?
No, it was not Crystal Reed.
It should have been.
Tom Savini was in this movie too, and he did a lot of the makeup effects on it. Wow, it's got a ton of people. Of course, like I said, Leslie Nielsen's in this movie. Also, Ted Danson. They're in the same skit together. If you've not seen Creepshow, you should check it out for sure.
Ed Harris,
yeah, there's a ton.
Ted Danson,
Hal Holbrook was in it. Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah, we're looking this up. It's got a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes.
No, it's solid. I remember this all the way through.
I love this movie. And then of course there's Creepshow 2, which comes out later, which we'll talk about later in the 80s.
Absolutely. Next up on the list is a movie I know you guys haven't seen. I unfortunately have. It's a slasher movie called Madman. Big surprise. There was a 1982 slasher movie that came out. Not much to talk about with this. It was kind of a rip off of the other ones. Kind of had a similar feel to The Burning. a little bit.
I just want to throw out there, this is this movie is so out there that it's not even listed under my Google search.
Well, my friend Sean, different Sean than the one I've talked about in the past, he loved this movie. I actually got this for him for his 40th birthday, and he watched it about 17 times within a week. And has one of the worst horror movie theme songs you'll ever hear. I'm not going to sing it on here. Everybody out there, do yourselves a favor. Look up Madman 1982 on YouTube. Listen to the theme song. You'll love it. You'll love me for it.
Is he killing people in a summer camp?
Yeah, basically. It's
IMDb has it as 81, but I'm just that might be why it's not. I don't know.
It might have had multiple release dates too.
It's one word, not two.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking it up too. It took me a minute.
Well, the killer's name is Madman Mars.
Actually, I think I remember this one with these pictures.
It's interesting. It was an interesting one, so I don't know. Check it out. It's worth a watch. It's
Absolutely.
It's a cult.
Oh,
movie.
yeah, I remember this one. Yeah,
there's a guy named TP who has a belt buckle that says TP. There he is.
Yep. I forgot the name.
If you've seen a movie where a guy has a thing of TP, you're gonna remember that.
Oh yeah. He has a belt buckle, a big giant belt buckle that says TP.
Yep.
I've wanted one of those ever since.
I bet you have.
He looks like
I haven't gotten it yet.
It looks like Uncle Esteban from Magic the Gathering.
There you go. If you guys would like to send Mike a gift, he would like the TP
belt buckle.
Belt buckle. You can send that to 1235 Upper Front Street, Binghamton, New York, to Dragon Master Games in care of Horror Zone 607. There you go.
That's not Uncle Esteban from Magic the Gathering. I don't know.
Wow, that's pretty bad.
I don't know.
That's true.
Oh yeah, that's the Madman Mars right there.
Yeah, I remember this.
Everybody, do yourselves a favor. Watch this movie. You'll hate me and love me at the same time.
It was like you say. It's watchable.
Probably the 4.
Probably more than likely.
Continuing on.
Yeah. Next up on the list is kind of another cult classic. I've also had the pleasure of seeing this one. I don't think you guys have. It's a movie called Pieces. It's a Spanish-American slasher movie. Very much felt like a giallo.
Yes, that's what it looks like here. It does have decent review. Well, it's in the middle of the road on Rotten Tomatoes. It's at 47%. It's got a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, though. So.
Yeah, IMDb's got there's a lot of good reviews. Like people are giving it, they enjoy it. It's worth a watch. I give it a chance.
It's worth seeing. You guys might dig it. I wasn't a big fan of it, but you might really like it. So, I know our good friend Luke loves it.
No,
that's where I watched it. I had the privilege of seeing his copy of it.
Okay.
All right. Next up on the list is where we're getting into the big ones, the real big ones.
If we're going to get into are all the rest of these big ones?
They are.
Okay. So before you get into the big ones, I have a couple from 1982 that I found that I just want to throw out there, and we don't have to spend long on them. It's just kind of like one of those things.
I probably purposely left them off the list. So I can't wait.
These are not good. So we have Wes Craven Presents Swamp Thing. Wes Craven's Swamp Thing came out in 1982. Also, we have one of my personal all-time cheesy, horrible, and definitely over-sexualized movies in the slasher genre, period, The Slumber Party Massacre.
Oh, I've never seen that, but I always wanted to.
We should watch it for the thing. You would enjoy it. It's very bad, but you would enjoy it because it's so bad. The guy kills people with a drill connected to his guitar.
Oh, I didn't realize it was connected to a guitar. I knew the drill was involved.
Let me read you the synopsis for this. Someone with a power drill shows up uninvited to Trish's high school pajama party.
Yep.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Now that's a synopsis right there.
It ensues. It's not bad. And one last one because there's many more, but one last one that I know wasn't on your list. Basket Case came out.
Oh.
I think I have seen that, and I can't remember anything about it. I think that was another one Luke made me watch.
Basket Case is this is a small synopsis. A grotesquely deformed Siamese twin joins forces with his brother to stalk the physician who separated them at birth. He keeps it in a little wicker basket.
Yeah.
They were Siamese twins, and the deformed one, the mutant, if you will, like feeds off of people. It's actually a really good movie.
Yeah. I know I've seen that.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. It's a classic movie, but it was from 1982 as well. I knew it wasn't on your list because I saw your list earlier.
Yeah.
So before we got into the heavy hitters, I wanted to get those out of the way because it would have been weird if we would have gotten into the heavy hitters, especially the heavy hitters of this year, and I would have gone, oh yeah, by the way, you should watch Slumber Party Massacre, Basket Case, and
Amityville
Swamp
too.
Thing.
Maybe Cat People.
Yeah, because we already were. These ones were definitely better than the first set. Too.
Oh yeah.
So this was a good mid-level one. Yeah, that's the Ron is showing Mike the
picture of the basket
of the actual basket case.
Yeah, there it was.
Yeah,
It's a basket case if I've ever seen one.
It would feed it random. Feed it random things too.
Yeah, it ate cats. It ate people. It ate a bunch of stuff.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this.
There's no way you haven't. It's actually a good movie. It's really, I mean, it's as good as a cheesy horror movie is going to be.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. Because it is as cheesy as you think. Because, listen, most of the time, nobody's puppeting the thing. Like, when it's attacking people, they're just, like, holding it.
They're holding it. You got to love it.
It is puppeted when it's in the box, but it's a lot of times when like it jumps on somebody.
There's some real acting being done, is what you're saying.
The actor is just like moving it.
So there's some serious acting going on in this film.
That's not one bathroom.
Wow.
We got to make sure that
if you guys could be in the studio with us this week, oh my goodness.
So let's get into the heavy hitters.
Let's get into the heavy hitters. Let's get this over with here.
You got 4 of them, correct?
I do. First up would be Friday the 13th, Part 3.
3D.
3D? Absolutely.
Friday the 13th 3D.
With probably the greatest score.
It has a good score.
The disco.
It also has a decent Jason. It's the first time Jason was like monstrously big.
That's my favorite Jason.
And it's the first time you get to see the hockey mask. The iconic hockey mask makes its debut in Part 2.
Courtesy of Shelley Finkelstein.
That's right. That's right. Who is now a lawyer who tells us
lawyer.
He tells us all about what's going on with the Friday the 13th case.
I've chatted with him about it in the past.
Nice guy. We should see if we can get him on the show.
You know, he might actually do it if he had time. I don't think that would be a problem.
That'd be fun. We'll have to get a hold of him. But
Larry Zerner, if you're listening, again, we want to get you on our show.
Friday the 13th Part 3 is always a fun watch. I'm a fan of Friday the 13th 3.
Yeah, I am too.
It's got some cool kills in it. Not to mention, it's a good movie. I wish they would have gone with the original ending because they changed the ending, as you know, famously.
Yeah.
But the original ending was brutal, and that would have been cool to see on the screen, which would have been different. But they had to go and do the shout out to the original with Mrs. Voorhees jumping out of the
that was a big mistake with that.
Yeah, that was. I think you should have gone with the original where she just gets slaughtered.
It just made no sense.
Yeah.
Of course, I guess none of the sequels did, considering Jason was dead in the original.
That's true. He was also dead in the second one. He was also dead in the third one. Because think about it, they hang him in the third one.
Yeah.
You see his dead body, they hang him.
From a second story of a barn.
Yeah. And he's left there for a long, long time. So he's definitely dead.
Yeah.
Definitely dead, yeah. So, but still a good movie. I enjoyed it. And once again, like I said, that is the most famous thing from that, the hockey mask.
Yeah, absolutely. And Larry Zerner.
Yes.
Yeah. Next up is, as you guys know, once I mention the name, you're going to know it's one of my all-time favorite movies to watch in the month of October and one of the most underrated horror movies of all time. That would be Halloween 3.
Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
If they would have just called it Season of the Witch, I bet you it would have been way
I
better.
guarantee it. Because it is a great horror movie.
It's a good movie standing on its own. The thing that does hurt it is the fact that it's called Halloween 3.
Right.
And after Halloween 1 and 2 established Michael Myers as the killing machine that he was in an era of slasher movies, because Michael Myers spawned these slasher flicks, later with Jason and then later on with Freddy, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, at this point in juncture, there was, by 1982, as we mentioned in 81, there was a ton of slasher movies off of the backs of 1978's Halloween. Ton of them.
Movies like Mad Men.
Well, not only that, but I mean, think about it. We talked about 81 before. We had Prom Night. You had Terror Train. You had everything. My Bloody Valentine, I do believe, came out, was it 80?
My Bloody Valentine was 81.
Okay, so it was 81. I know because we did the 2 years, so kind of whatever.
Right.
Anyways, so
they kind of all mixed together.
So the Godfather slasher movie. So if you would have taken away Halloween 3 because people were expecting to see a slasher, and you would have just called it Season of the Witch, I guarantee you they would have had a better reaction because the movie by itself is a very good movie, and I will say that.
I've been saying that exact same thing for 20 years now.
I enjoyed the movie. And it's a good movie, and unfortunately, the only thing that hurts is the Halloween. Once again, it's like Friday the 13th Part 5. I'm a big fan of Part 5, and it is one of the most mean-spirited horror movies of all time.
Oh, yeah.
It's truly evil and diabolical, and it has the most mean-spirited kills in any Friday the 13th movie for sure, and in most movies, period.
Yeah.
And here we are, the only reason people judge it is because it's not Jason Voorhees.
Right.
But if you think about it, if you really go, hey, just forget that Roy is Roy and it's just Jason dying again, then you could actually be like, oh, it's one of the better movies in the series. And I think people just focus too much on the Friday the 13th thing. The same way as Halloween 3, they focus too much on the Halloween.
Right, and I like to say, if you're a true horror fan, enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
Enjoy it for what it is, because it's not a bad movie.
Yeah, enjoy Basket Case 3. I just want the synopsis on that thing.
Oh, there was a third one.
There was a 90 in the 91 or 91, 92.
Once again,
the basket.
Go back to my Talking Horror segment. Franchises never die.
Yeah. I thought of one that did, and that would be the next one up in my list, and that would be Poltergeist.
Yes
were
and
three
no.
of them?
They had
There was a remake and-
Well, no, they did. I think they did.
Actually,
They did a total of 4 or 5.
There was 3 of them.
Go look this up, Ron, because I swear there was a
There was
fourth.
Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3, and then there was the remake.
I swear there was more than that, because I swear there was a Poltergeist 4 before the remake. I could be wrong.
If
Ron,
there was,
check
it
that
was
out.
something that was like
Check it out,
a fan-made movie or something.
But let's talk about Poltergeist. Well,
There was the series, Poltergeist, the
remember.
Legacy.
There's Poltergeist in 82.
That had nothing to do with.
Right.
Okay.
There's Poltergeist 2, The Other Side in 86. Poltergeist 3 in 88. Then American Poltergeist in 2015, which I don't think
Which has nothing to do with it.
And then the remake of Poltergeist.
So I was
in
wrong.
And there was the
2015.
series. It
And
was
then
kind
this-
of...
I thought
They
there
tried
was
to
a
do the same thing like Friday the 13th, the series. It was like an anthology series called Poltergeist
Well,
the Legacy, I believe.
Yeah, the Legacy from
Either way, the only
96 to 99.
The
Right.
only thing that's important here, of course, is the original Poltergeist movie.
Yeah.
Which, as I've said before on this show, I do not like haunted house movies because I think they're gimmicks. I also think the possessed movies are kind of gimmicky. There's exceptions, because if it's done well, like anything, if it's done well, I'm gonna like it. I.e., the Conjuring movies, I really dig, like the actual Conjuring movies. I love The Exorcist, even though it terrifies Mike here.
Oh, yeah. I
And-
turned into Derek on that movie.
Yeah, and I love Poltergeist. Poltergeist is an amazing movie, top tier all day. It gave us some of the best horror tropes of all time. It's not cheesy and just shit for the sake of shit. It's really good. And of course, where else are we going to get? You left the bodies. You just moved the headstones, didn't you? You just moved the headstones.
The great Craig
So
T.
good.
Nelson.
Coach himself.
Underrated actor.
Coach.
Very underrated
Love it.
actor.
It was a great movie.
Yeah, and it comes later on in the decade, but I thought Poltergeist 2 was actually really good until the end. The end ruined that movie, but it had a really good first half.
When we get to that, we'll give it its day in the sun.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I could agree with that. But I will say this. That would have been the best movie of 1982, in my opinion, if it wasn't for the last movie you're about to list.
Yeah,
Because out of all the movies in 1982, this movie is amazing. And it would have been the best. But there is one more movie you're going to mention that I think, in my humble opinion, is the best horror movie of 1982. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
I do agree. When I did a countdown on Facebook years ago and during the month of October, it came in at, I believe it was number 4 on my list. Only Halloween, Jaws, and The Exorcist came in above it, and that would be
fair with all those.
the John Carpenter classic. A lot of people feel it's more his masterpiece than Halloween. I don't know if I go that far, but one of the greatest all-time horror movies that failed at the box office. Should not have. Amazing film, The Thing.
Oh, The Thing is amazing. Once again, this is my favorite movie from 1982. Hands down.
I
Hands
agree.
down.
Mine as well.
Which would have been all said and done if you had the closed captions on in the beginning when the guys are yelling in the foreign language. Shoot the dog, it's an alien or whatever. But it was all in foreign language.
In Norwegian.
By the way, the best part about that is he put that little snippet in there.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. I'm going to say this. The Thing is an amazing movie. It's one of the best movies of all time. It is a masterpiece. I do not say that it is his greatest masterpiece. I do think it's second to Halloween, because I think Halloween carries with it, not only is it damn near the most perfect movie ever made, in my opinion, it also carries with it the fact that there was a whole empire built off of it. And I'm not just talking about for Halloween. I'm talking about there's a whole genre. The slasher genre exists because of Halloween.
I agree.
It really does. And for better or for worse. And Halloween is definitely the best of them, and it is, in my opinion, the greatest horror movie ever made. I agree with you. Top 5 all day for The Thing.
Yeah.
So John Carpenter owns 2 of my top 5s.
Yeah.
Actually, your list was pretty sound. I like the fact that Halloween was number 1, and then you followed it with...
I had Halloween number 3 on that list. I had to be real with myself, even though it's my favorite movie ever made.
So you put The
I had to be
Exorcist
real
1?
about it. I had The Exorcist 1, and I had Jaws 2. Jaws has never had I've said this many times. There's never a movie that's had a more profound effect on people than Jaws.
I would agree with those, but I would order them differently. I go Halloween 1, Jaws number 2, so I agree with you there. Exorcist number 3, and it's not because I hate The Exorcist, and then I would put The Thing. It's not because I hate The Exorcist. I've said it before, and this is not in a bad way, because I know it's going to sound bad when I say overrated. The Exorcist is a tad bit overrated, just a tad bit, and the reason why is because people tout it to always be the greatest horror movie of all time, and there's a lot of that movie to be desired, in my opinion. Once again, if I was you, because you're terrified of the movie, then I would get it. But I've never been terrified of the movie. I think it's a classic. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's another movie that's damn near perfect. However, I still think when people put it on the list, they put it on the list higher. And in my opinion, outside of Poltergeist, which we were just talking about a minute ago, there has never been another possession movie that made me go, fuck, The Exorcist started a whole campaign.
Right.
Whereas Halloween started a mega franchise, because Halloween is a huge franchise. Friday the 13th is a huge franchise. Nightmare on Elm Street's a huge franchise. Just keep going down the list. Child's Play is a great big franchise. Scream's a huge franchise. Saw is a huge franchise, and we know it's got a slasher tone, but it's not a direct slasher movie. But without Halloween, none of those movies would exist. Yeah. Even non-slasher movies wouldn't exist, because it gave the template for how a horror movie should go from that day forward. Right down into the runtime of a movie, the atmosphere, the stalking feeling, all of that comes from Halloween. Now, mind you, it borrowed from other things, because people are going to be like, well, Hitchcock did stuff like that, and and yes, they did. But Halloween mastered putting them together in a package that everybody just copied and pasted, and created a successful franchise out of. The Exorcist never did that. And that, to me, is why it edges it out. Now, mind you, all those movies we just listed, including The Thing, are damn near perfect movies. They're all masterpieces. There's not a one of them that I could say, oh, shit, there's something wrong. And I could even go further in my list and say that. And, I know we're getting off The Thing a little bit. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. It's just funny on how, you guys switch it around a little. Like, Jaws is number 3 to me.
Really?
And then I intertwine Exorcist and
I
Halloween.
almost made Jaws number 1, but...
Well, I understand why, but I to me, it's just number 3.
Here's the thing.
I always put Halloween, and Exorcist together, and it's whatever day you feel at that time, whatever bugs you more or whatever freaks you out more.
I was going to say, most people have them 1 and 2 all day.
Yeah.
Right.
And the reason I give Jaws is I always think, and I rank Jaws a little higher, and this is the only reason why. Because, obviously, the same reason we'll never overtake Halloween, because it's never been duplicated, it's never been spawned, there's never the extra stuff that's going on. But I think the only reason I also think I lean on it a little more is because everybody just kind of disrespects it. Everybody kind of forgets about how much of a masterpiece Jaws is. Yeah. It's funny because it has had more profound effect on than any other movie. It scares people away from the ocean to this day.
50 years later, nearly.
To this day.
Almost 50 years later.
But people still kind of forget about it and don't even list it on horror lists, because they forget it's a horror movie. It's a terrifying movie.
Oh, yeah.
It really is.
Especially when you said it best with the fact that the shark didn't even work.
Yeah, the shark
which made it even scarier.
Well, he rewrote it and made it even scarier than it would have been if he went the original.
If the shark
it would have been too over the top if they had done what they wanted.
If the shark would have worked, that movie would not be a masterpiece. Yeah. Bottom line. Yeah. The genius of Steven Spielberg came out of necessity, and when he rewrote it because he just wanted to be off that damn island, pretty much. He wanted to get the hell out of Martha's Vineyard. That's all it was. Because that's where they shot the film. And as you know, it was a 9-month shoot because this damn shark kept breaking. So they rewrote the movie just to get the hell out of it. That rewritten movie is a masterpiece. Yeah. If he would have shot the original script, and even from his own mouth, if he would have shot the original script, it is not as big of a masterpiece. Yeah. It isn't, because it would have been over the top. It would have been a cool movie still, but it would have been over the top.
It would have been more like all the other shark movies we've seen over the years.
Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of shark scenes, and without the shark, you create atmosphere, you create suspense, and stalking.
Yeah,
because that damn shark is stalking the hell out of you.
Oh yeah, it's almost a slasher movie when you think about it.
It really is. It really is. And now the problem is the subsequent sequels of that movie.
I stick by 2 being a really good movie.
Well, 2 is just a carbon copy of 1.
Yeah, a little different, but it's a great companion piece to it.
Slight differences, but they're kind of the same movie.
It's an actual sequel. They kind of just steal the characters for 3 and 4, but
3 was the baby. By the way,
right?
3 was the one that takes place in SeaWorld.
Right, but it was like the baby.
It was 3D. Yes, it was the baby. It was the sun shark.
No, that was the 4th one. That was Jaws: The Revenge, where it follows the mother and the son all the way from Martha's Vineyard to the Bahamas while they're on an airplane.
Amity Island to the Bahamas.
Okay, that's right.
But
still.
It's just been a while since.
Amity Island would have been in Long Island or Massachusetts.
That's right.
That's where the Amity
But
Island
it follows them down the entire East Coast while they're on an airplane and finds them right where they are in the Bahamas. Surprisingly, that's a better movie than the third one is. So
I can't remember.
In the fourth one, they try to forget the third one ever happened.
thank
So
God.
tell you something. But anyways, going back to the thing now that we've digressed off of it, and this is why the fun of this show.
Oh, yeah.
Really, I think this is the best part. That's why I love conversations. But going back to the thing, the one thing that it not only does it have great practical effects in it that are amazing to this day, it does have that
Some
atmosphere.
of the best ever.
Has the atmosphere, it has the whodunit kind of vibe. It gets you really off kiltered. But it also, and this is why I rated it so high, has one of the most brilliant endings of any movie ever made.
Oh, yeah.
Where is the thing? Is one of them the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that whole snippet of the beginning, like I said before, just
You don't know. And rumor has it was the bottle is the tell. Because you remember Kurt Russell hands over the bottle.
Oh, yeah.
And the bottle wasn't allegedly, because it's never been confirmed. Allegedly, in the bottle, it was what they were using to start the Molotov cocktail. So it's gasoline. So when he handed it over, and the guy drinks it, and that's why he starts laughing, is because he knows he's the thing because he's just drank gasoline. That's one of the theories.
I
never even thought of that.
And here's the funny part.
I had to rewatch it.
That's
Yeah, me too.
We'll watch it for this show, definitely. And that's one of the nods that people go to, like, oh shit, so he was the thing. And that's why the movie ends with Kurt Russell laughing, and then the guy laughs after him. I can't remember what the names of the characters were. Sorry, it's been
Yeah.
But
McCready and I can't remember the other guy's name.
So he hands him the bottle and he drinks it, and then he starts laughing. Remember, and then they both are laughing, and the movie ends. That's how the movie ends.
Right.
No answers. So everybody's like, "Oh, what happened?" It's a great ending. When you add that in, that people think that the bottle that Kurt Russell has is filled with gasoline that they were using to start fires. Then it's like he's laughing because he knows that his buddy is not his buddy. It's the thing.
Right.
So, and they've never confirmed or denied it. John Carpenter will not confirm or deny it. That's the best part about it.
It's better left ambiguous.
Which makes me believe that that's the point.
Yeah.
Because
some of the best horror movies have those ambiguous endings too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But I'm just saying that's why, once again, that's one of the reasons why it's a masterpiece. It's a great movie all the way through. It's a master of visual effects, and then the ending is just spot on. Yeah. And then you add that tidbit into the ending, makes it even better.
Yeah, because of the beginning and the ending at both points tells you what
it's a masterpiece.
Yep.
It's all around.
I'm with that. I never pay. It's been a while since I've seen the original thing. So
yeah, that's one of those things that's out there, and I actually kind of think that and John Carpenter's been asked straight out, and he's like, meh, won't tell you. So once again, it gives me the idea that he thought about that, so that if he thought about it, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But once again, he won't confirm or deny it, which is like a real fun thing. But I don't think that a mastermind like John Carpenter, when he's asked a question, if it was just something that he's just like, no, he would just be like, no, I didn't really write anything. I'm sure that if he didn't write it that way, he'd be like, oh, well, that's a good take. I didn't write that, though.
Right.
And the fact that he goes, well, maybe not.
Right.
Makes me think that he wanted you to catch on to that, and he wanted you to kind of keep this conversation going.
Yeah. No,
so good job on
and
John
it always
Carpenter.
will.
Once again, 2 movies in the top 5 for me. John Carpenter's a master.
Oh, yeah.
Master.
I agree. Was. Not so much anymore.
Well, he hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
Because
the last times he's tried over the last 20 years have failed.
Yeah, but you also have They Live that throw in there. It's not all-time masterpiece like the other two, but They Live is a really good movie.
Yeah, he kind of had like a second tier of them, like that.
Children of the Dam.
Yeah, that one was all right.
It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible.
Right. Prince of Darkness is a really underrated movie.
Yeah, Prince of Darkness is actually pretty good. What else is on
not Lord of Illusions. The Mouth of Madness.
Mouth of Madness was all right. That was good.
Yeah.
I mean,
good ones.
Yeah, sure. I think that's great. You know what? That was awesome. That was great talking horror. Look at that. We even gave you a little bit of time there. Man, it was just a great show. I love those conversations, and that's why I want to do these specials, because we have so much to talk about. These movies, damn it, we have a lot.
That's what we call talking horror.
I know, it's wonderful. So, real quick, I just want to give you guys just a shout out to where we are. So, once again, we want to hear from you. We want you to talk to us about all the movies from 1982, anything we talked about this episode, anything you want us to talk about. If you have an idea of a movie you want us to watch for our upcoming stuff, go ahead. If not, we'll just bring you the entertainment regardless. But hey, you need to follow us so you can take place in our polls and everything else we're going to be doing for these. So first of all, go to Facebook, Horror Zone 607. Like us on Facebook. Share us on Facebook. Rate and review our Facebook page, so that way we can helps the algorithm there. That helps us out a lot. We really do appreciate it. Also, while you're at it, follow us on Twitter at Horror Zone 607. That's right. Over there, we got a lot of content. We usually put some stuff out there, tweeting all the time. Hashtag HZ607 for all of our social media to join the conversation. Real big plug, because we were just getting to that. We're going to be some places live coming up soon. October 4th and 5th, we will be in Oneonta, New York at the Oneonta Foothills Performing Arts Center as part of Sci-Fi Horror Fest. As a matter of fact, we are one of the sponsors for Sci-Fi Horror Fest, so that's pretty awesome. Come visit us, and I got word, and I think I talked about it on the podcast last week, I got word that I will actually be hosting the Children of the Corn panel at Sci-Fi Horror Fest with Courtney Gaines and John Franklin.
And all I'm going to say, I said it off the air. I've said it before. You said it on the air yourself last week. They better put an extra chair up there because I will be joining.
I think Ron's going to fight you. Look at, there's going to be a fight in this room.
Well, then put up 2 extra chairs.
But anyways, we're going to be doing that. Plus, there's going to be so many more people there. Dustin Parra is going to be there from Ghost Hunters. Also, Jill Whitlow from Night of the Creeps will also be there.
Or the greatest comedy according to Diesel.
The Mask. The Rocky Dennison story. Also, we have so much cool stuff we got going on. So I do appreciate that so much with Sci-Fi Horror Fest. Yeah. Thank you guys, and there's so much going on. Also, we'll be a part of Scaricon as well in Rochester, New York. That is taking place on October 19th. Or 18th through the 20th, 18th, 19th, and 20th in Rochester, New York. For ticket information for both events, by the way, Scaricon has not announced their whole lineup yet, so I can't go in there, but I can tell you that not the entire cast, but a big portion of the cast from Terrifier will be there.
Yep.
And I'm excited for that. So that has been announced so far, but there's more to come. For ticket information for both, for Sci-Fi Horror Fest, it's sci-fi-horrorfest.com. Also, like their page on Facebook, Sci-Fi Horror Fest. You can find their stuff because we plug them all the time on ours. Also, for Scaricon, it's scaricon.com for tickets information. Also, you can check out their Facebook page, Scaricon, and follow them on Twitter at Scaricon. Once again, we plug a lot of their stuff, so you can always find them through our social medias as well. So I just want to plug that's where we're going to be. We're going to be doing some cool stuff there. I've been talking to the promoters at Scaricon. As soon as I know and give a concrete stuff, I can tell you what we're doing there as well.
Can't wait to hear it.
So that's all I got for this week, Mike. So.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being with me on my show. I appreciate you guys being here, both Ron and Rich. It's always a pleasure to sit here with you guys and record this show. I want to thank you guys, the listeners out there, every week for tuning in and listening to us just talk a lot of horror and bringing you all the best news that's coming out in the horror world. So we will be back in the studio again next week. We'll be talking a lot more horror and bringing you the biggest horror movie news of the week. Have a great week, everybody. See ya.